have on that West Tech Performance. Obviously doing the truck thing again. Should be working out pretty good. It's daylight, so obviously the the lighting for the V6 available. Should I buy it? Be able to get a reasonable price on it. It doesn't have a lot of stuff. It doesn't have an intake manifold. It doesn't have valve covers. I think the rest of the stuff is kind of there. It's a later Vortec balance shaft motor, so it has the Vortec head with the specific kind of into the deal. I fold, but that intake manifold is designed for the earlier heads with a different bolt pattern. Same port lineup and stuff, that's not a problem. But what I'm gonna have to do is, with those Vortec heads, I'm gonna have to drill and tap those heads for that bolt pattern. Now, I don't think I have to put all of the bolt pattern in there. I think I just, really what I'm concerned with is getting the water passages sealed primarily. The intake ports will seal up well enough for me to run wide open throttle stuff. So I'm not looking at doing that as a long-term kind of thing, but I can drill and tap that head. I need to look exactly where the intersections are and make sure that I'm not running into, you know, something important, a push rod or water or all that stuff. So, but I think that all of that's doable. So let me know, do you think, I've never tested obviously that intake manifold. I don't think, in my opinion, that I've run enough V6 stuff. You know, it's 3/4 of a small block Chevy. We've run lots of small block Chevy stuff, but there's not a lot of good stuff for this. So we want to see, this is kind of internally, this is kind of a cross ram manifold. So with a lid for a carburetor, maybe we can space it up with a, you know, I could make a spacer plate or something. You know, we'll see. But we certainly could put carb spacers on top of the manifold. So it's pretty cool. I like it just because it's unique. You know, you know, and then put valve spring upgrade. I'll take a look at those. Maybe we could put LS springs on those. Somebody, hopefully we're back. Oh yeah, there we go. Okay, we're connected again. So hopefully I can run that, you know, with a typical kind of Edelbrock carbureted intake manifold, and then a Holley carburetor, and then run it with this manifold. We obviously could run boost with it. We can run a torque storm as I have in the past. We definitely could run a turbo. All of that stuff is possible so that we can see if I'm trying to get away from the dead zone out at West Tech. See if that's any better. No, I'm still good. You still see the, yeah, I've never had problems right there. It's kind of weird. I just drive around and look for the, just look for the most bars basically on my phone, and it works out pretty good. Unfortunately, when I leave, then a bunch of people leave. That's kind of sucky, but that's all right. So V6, it should be good. It should work out well. I'm hoping to, you know, put a bunch of stuff together. Nice sport pickup in the background, yeah. Yeah, somebody's got that parked over there. So let me know what you guys think. Should we run that? Should we run the V6 in there? 4.3, there's the most overhyped engine. What's the difference between this 4.3 and the other stuff you tested? Nothing. In fact, this is a lot like the other one that I ran, because the other one was also a Vortec headed one. I would just like to run a different cam profile in. I'd like to run a dual pattern cam. Yeah, and these do have a split pin. Only thing wrong with the V6 is the sound, but they sound good with boost on them. And like I said, this intake manifold will kind of be cool, because I've never run this intake manifold. It would be cool to see how it compares to, you know, the normal Edelbrock that everybody runs. 100% of Vortec needs to be dynoed. Run it. Right now I'm working on a 99 Sonoma. So let's see if we stay in touch here. Like I said, I think it's in good shape. I mean, it looks like it's clean. I'm surprised the bag that it was in is very, very dirty. But obviously the bag did its job and kept the inside, you know, kept the motor nice and clean. This is probably one from the Chevy race shop. So it really might be a brand new 4.3 liter that's never been run. It probably was one that came off of the assembly line, and so I just need to go to CJ. Did you take a look at the thumbnail that's up? I think that this is a Smokey Unique intake manifold, if I remember right. I think it's got a GM part number on it, but I think that this is one of the ones that Smokey developed. So it's internally, it's a cross ram, but with a 4-barrel lid on top of it. Yes, I'm going to run the Joker's intake or blower when I'm here. That should be good. I'm interested in doing that. My V6 Camaro sounded like a dump truck. Was it this 4.3 liter V6? The stock ones of these made with the right intake manifold on them, they made 200, so they did pretty good. 4.3 liter LS. They made a 4.3 liter Gen 2 LT motor. Well, production piece. It's not only either the Chevy Performance or, like I said, I think it was developed by Smokey Unique. We ran in them in the Astrovans. Got you ordered 2 sauceless pizzas. Yeah, it'd be nice if the ports were symmetrical, but it doesn't really matter. And it'll be cool. Just give us an opportunity to run boost on it. And really, I could put injectors inside there, inside the manifold, and run that, which would kind of be cool. And we could make it fuel injected. Yeah, I agree, Scott. No sauce, no good. In the video last night, the guys at West had a ZR1 motor for sale. So if anybody's interested in that, let me know. Also, as always, obviously I'm down here, so I'm picking up a bunch of stuff that I got some cams for sale. So if you're interested in primarily LS cams, or seem to be what I have the most of. I'm kind of curious to see what this manifold does with carb spacers on this V6. You know, obviously we get to do that, so that would be kind of cool. But it definitely needs, those motors definitely need, I know from past experience, that thing definitely needs camshaft. It definitely needs ported heads. And merch will be coming up too, at least to start out with, t-shirts. Okay, so let's scroll back and see how many people got lost. Yeah, definitely test it. Definitely test it. We know what the limits are. Yep. Post, do the LV1, LV3 with the Frankenstein's new heads. Frankenstein has heads for that V6. I got a spare one laying around. Later Vortec have LS rockers. They're awesome except for the spider injection. Yep. People love them when they came out. Oh, I need to look at that. I think that this thing has rockers on it, but it has the stamped steel rockers. I built one years ago, bumped up the compression, Q-Jet. Yep. We'll put a single turbo on this. That's 4.3 with an M90. Yeah, with the M90, because of the way that the lid bolts on this, I can just make an adapter plate for the M90. My buddy and I are considering 4.3 liter swaps in a few different types of vehicles. Tony Angelo did a cool thing. Yeah, I saw Tony. He does good stuff. Yep, Andy, yeah, I just covered that. It'd be easy to do an adapter plate. Yeah, the streaming was lagging because I had a bad connection. I'm actually surprised Jim never did an M90 4.3. I know, it seems like a good idea, right? Spinning circles of death. Solar flares. No cyber attacks. Sport pickup in the background. No more max headroom. You know who I think looks like max headroom is, what's his name? The congressman or the senator. Is it Matt Gaetz? Is that the guy's name? 100%. It needs to be run. Working on 99 Sonoma with the 4.3 liter. Yeah, they used them a lot in the vans, in the trucks. Add fuel injection design. You don't like the spider injection? The Buick V6 heads were a precursor to the Vortec. Are they similar to the 4.3 liter? I don't know. I don't know about the these look like conventional small block Chevy ports and not LS style ports. Can you find out what Banks did to make a 5 liter in his Cyclone project? Did he do a 5 liter version of the 4.3 liter V6? Because they used to make 5 liter versions, or near 5 liter versions, that they raced in the Buick Grand National series. Yep, I am going to run the Joker's ported M90. I had an S10 98 4.3 liter. It was a fun truck to drive, yeah. Especially with the manual trans. Got a late model Chevy truck with a direct injected 4.3. Oh, then yeah, the new stuff is good. We ran them in the Astro delivery vans, 300,000 miles. Yeah, if you change the oil, my dad had one in his Astro van, and I don't think he ever changed the oil, but they will last a long time if you take care of them. I don't like the goofy small block Chevy ports on the 4.3. They're non-symmetrical. Yep. I'm looking to do an LS build for a BRZ with track days in mind. What's your suggestion? Are you looking for a camshaft? I've got 2 cams to choose from. I think I would pick the bigger of the 2. Just send me an email and we'll get you hooked up. I used to have pictures of the old 90s year one on my walls. A legend. Yeah, those were cool. I like they did the cutaways and stuff of those. Those are awesome. Yeah, I have been testing them for a long time. Price of the 4.3s is going to go up. I don't know if I have that much of an effect. I wish that they had aluminum heads for it. Dyno 3.8, push it till it breaks. We already know what the weak link is in the 4.3. I've never run any 4.3s at high power other than, I mean, I think we run 450 or 460 or something like that. But I have done 4 or 3.8s way higher than that already. I've got a bunch of 3800 stuff up there. LS3 6L90 swap and a Crown Vic Police Interceptor. Do you need a cam for that, Hugh? Everything at Domino's is automated. Push the button and the sauce shoots out. That's how the I like standing there and watching the Costco pizzas get made like that. Idle time. Good morning, Richard. Absolutely on the 4.3 liter V6. I'm getting ready to delete the infuser plate on mine. Install throttle body spacer in the cold air. An 88 millimeter turbo. What's a good spark plug gap on a 5.3 with 7 to 10 pounds? When I run boosted stuff, I run it at 19 or 20 thousandths gap. This is a balance shaft motor, yep. I can't wait. I have to say I've blown 9 4.3 liters up. Test. Let's see. And I'm adjusting. It's not working. It's not working. Please bear with me. We're having technical difficulties. Oh well, I guess you're gonna be right there. So do I have people still here? still here? Anyone? Bueller? So let's see if I can get you guys hooked up again. And zip tie in place, and we're back in action. So first, no signal. Now, temperature. It's a whopping 64 degrees, and the phone said it overheated. I don't know what the deal is. So what do you guys got going on? Thought somebody made an adapter plate for the M90 for the 4.3 liter. I don't know what they would have put it to. Spider injections, pop-up valves get stopped up. Good morning. Julius, what's going on? Got an all-wheel drive Astro and a Camaro. An extended cab. Everything is automated now. We got a McDonald's in town recently. It's automated too. Wow. My 96.43 Vortec with stock cam, cleaned up exhaust port, spider injection, and Hypertech made max power at 4,600. Yeah, I've never seen the automated stuff. Even the stuff at Costco is not fully automated. You need to get a Starlink set up, carry it to West Tech on your trip so you have internet. I'll have to look into that and see. Because I really would like to do this properly with my laptop and a good camera and a good mic. Do you have any 3.8 cams? Nope, only stock ones. We're up to 7 PSI and 4.3, but blows the boot off the intake. Oh, okay. Did you see the dyno explosion? Yeah, I saw the Steve Morris stuff. That's pretty cool. Do you think you get a 4.3 to 1,000? I don't think the stock crank will live there. Just do the 4.3 and the 3.9 Magnum V6. Richard, I bought a BTR Red Hot cam for my LS3 after you dynoed and before I found out you're selling cams. That's okay. You'll have another LS. And the Red Hot cam is bigger than the stuff that I have anyways. Yeah, the stream stopped again. Yep, it is like rain on your wedding day. But we're back. My son has a 97 Camaro 5-speed. He wants to go through and picked up some 24-pound injectors. Cell tower Big Bang. Can you do a Toyota V8? Yeah, but what's going to be available for that? Do people have cams for those? And we're back. That's right. Did you get a ticket? No, it was the temperature thing on the phone. It's weird. Maybe I'll and like I said, it's only 64 degrees here, man. It's not like it's turn the AC on, I guess, to make sure the phone's happy. Still here. AC is blowing the microphone. I had to hold the phone in front of the AC for a long time. You probably are getting a bunch of blow by there now. I just wanted to get some temperature on there. I had to refresh the app. Not a side hustle, my second job. Yep. In theory, you can make 301 with an LS platform looking to replace the 4.9 liter turbo Trans Am. You can make a 300-inch LS motor with the right combination of bore and stroke. And there are aftermarket cams that you can make a 4-inch bore 6-liter into a 5-liter if you have the 3-inch stroke cranks that were custom done by Bryant. Richard, how would an LS3 intake on 799 heads with adapter plates compare to a fast intake manifold? It wouldn't even be close. LS3 intake on cathedral port head with adapters is a terrible idea, unless you're doing a blower. Would you know the specs for the 2.1? Video and audio is good when you have good connection. You can get aftermarket Cyclone turbo manifolds for cheap now. Okay. Yeah, the turbo manifolds is not a problem. Colorado Springs. Made 470 wheel horsepower on my 98 S10. Stock internals with a Vortex setup plus other mods. 15 PSI. Timing chain let go. Okay. Need to try watch King of the Hill again. Updates on the 460 intake. Overbuilt. I have no 460 intake. I do have the small block intake though. If it's charging while streaming, it's not charging. Milford makes cams for the Toyota. Yeah, what does a Milford cam cost for a Toyota? I mean, Kelford, yeah. Kelford cam's got to be a lot of money. If you have an L31, 230, 240, 550 lift, let me know. Yeah, you're gonna have to change the springs and machine the heads for the guides. I would be doing twin turbos. What are you doing twin turbos on, Martin? $1,400 for just the cam? Nope. Yeah, that's a hard pass on that. Is the Toyota motor, that's not even a single cam, right? That's multiple cams. Any new engine dynos coming soon? Also test, I do want to test the V10 Ford. I'm doing engine dyno testing while I'm here, so there'll be some more coming up. We have heaps of cams available for Toyota V8s. Huge aftermarket support down here. Are there like inexpensive ones? It's a quad cam. Yeah, that's going to be like buying Coyote cams. Obviously, that's a lot more than LS stuff. Overbuild, I'll take it. Well, and I don't remember what LS cam you talked about. I tagged you in a dyno video. I think I saw that, Scott. Was that the huge giant motor? Because I can't imagine if Toyota would do it any differently with their cams for their truck motors. They would make truck cams. Yeah, the 20-cylinder cat. That's pretty cool. It's gigantic. I love seeing those things. And I like looking at the cranks of the big like the big ship engines, big cargo ships and stuff, and the big cruise ships. Do the Vortex heads pull the rocker studs because people bottom out the springs assembly with too much? Yeah, you have to, on the Vortex head, you're going to do that. When you're coming to get the V10, I don't know. I have Bart's in the house. Bart is the guy that has the V10. I need to make arrangements to come out there. Can you strap the Eaton blower on a Toyota V8? Anything's possible. That cat made 2,200 horsepower at 1,600. Yeah, calculate the torque for that. It's a pretty big torque number if it made power at 1,600 RPM. That's going to be a ton. The Ford V10, the Ford 4V V10. No, we're talking about doing that too, but the one that I'm looking at is a 2-valve. Doing twin turbos on a 408 stroke or 799. That's why I asked about the LS3 intake with adapters. You don't need that. You just need a, if you don't even need a fast intake manifold on that, just put a Trailblazer SS or whatever fits on there. The turbos are going to dictate how much power you make. Who makes an adapter for it already? Yeah, the C175 is the small block. The small block version. Any plans to do an Atlas? No, I still got to do the 5-cylinder. I've run those on the end of the chassis dyno with blowers on them, but I need to finish the 4200 first. I haven't seen that, CJ. Stroke the 4.3, I'm not going to do that. No small block Chevy cams. Elate manufacturing out of New Zealand makes the adapter for an Eaton to go on a UZ motor. Okay. It's an old Italian car made to break the land speed record. Use a 28-liter aircraft engine. Why not a 3-valve V10? It does make more power, but the one that I have available to me is a 2-valve, and then the 4-valve guys want me to run theirs. You should look at the Hall Scott engines that have 4 valves in the 1919 era. Yeah, none of that stuff is new. 16,000 foot-pounds of torque. Yep, that's a lot. Yes, on the 4.3-liter test, we like that. Hey, Julius, do you know the guys that did the V12 LS stuff for in Australia? I work on so many vehicles. It's always good to get more information on the platform and being able to ask your personal suggestion. Happy to help. I think you get a lot of JDM guys interested in you putting Japanese V8s, comparing them, you mean? All of that's good, and I like all of those motors. I'm not an American motor guy. I like all of them. It's just getting them hooked up and running is very expensive. You're a push mower type of guy? No, my lawnmower has drive. But I did, when I was a kid, I did mow lawns with the rotary cutters, the push mowers that you had to get going to get the rotor speed up. A Northstar V8? Yeah, Mark has a Northstar V8. I've never run one on the engine dyno. I mean, if I had my way, obviously I would test every motor and it would be great, but it's just so, with only me doing it, it's very time consuming and expensive. My shop is currently attempting to do a custom cam grind for a 4.3-liter V6. I'm curious to see what happens. If you just did grinds that they make for V8s, it will be fine. The mower doesn't have boost. I wish it did. I've been wanting to put a smog pump on it for a long time, or some kind of, forced induction, but it does not have any. And I also don't like the variable flow carburetor that they have setups on stuff now. It just give me throttle. That's all of it. Yeah, every factory motor is not maxed out, so it gives us a lot of room in the aftermarket to make them better. I drove an LS base 4.3-liter. I don't know of any LS base 4.3. I know they make LT versions of that, but I don't know of anything that has an LS style head on it that's a 4.3-liter. Bring back the L99 belt-driven supercharger. Love to see a Buick 3.8 liter. I'm not going to do the early Grand National stuff, but the 3800 stuff is definitely coming. Yeah, they make an LT version of the 4.3 liter, the LV1 and LV3s. Need to get merch going, I agree. The baby LT1, yeah, I ran a bunch of those. I ran that a bunch of times. Yeah, we have people down here that replace LS1s and the Holdens with 1UZs, fairly common swap. Richard, that's a loaded question. But and I don't care that they're doing it. It doesn't matter to me at all. Guys want to do what they want to do. I think it's fantastic. Does the 1UZ make more power than an LS1? I can't see how it would. Did GM engineers ever reach out to you for research stuff? No, they do way more research than I do. 2014, yeah, it's an LT base motor, yep. Yeah, 3800 is going to get a big bang. We've already made it for 600 with it, so it's pretty easy to make power with it. Have you put a 425 stroke crank in an LQ4? That's a terrible idea because it doesn't fit. You'll pull the piston out of the bottom. We don't run more than 4-inch stroke cranks in those unless you sleeve the block. Now on sleeve block stuff, we've run 4 250 stroke cranks in them, but 425 is easily possible. I think the 3800 is a better motor than the 4.3. Baby LT1 4.3, kind of cool. Yep. The 98 GMC Sonoma 4.3, so yes on anything 4.3. I think the ITGE 4.3 liter just shares the stroke and piston size of the LS, but I can't remember. I don't think it does. I think it's different than the I know in the LT, when you look at the LV3 and the LV1, I don't think it shares bore and stroke with either one of them, if I remember. Lexus IS300s are selling for around 1,500 to 2,500 Australian. 1UZ swap is cheaper than an LS. Okay, I thought that you were saying that they were taking LS motors out of LS-based motors, out of LS-based cars, and swapping 1UZs in them in place of the LS. I thought that that's what you're saying, so that's my mistake. Do aluminum blocks lose much horsepower from flex? Not factory aluminum blocks, because they put a lot of money into designing them. 1UZ is so cheap to build. I have an LS400 making 400 horsepower just with a tune and headers. Yeah, but that's not a build though. That's all you've done is just optimize whatever's there. You haven't changed the heads. You haven't changed the cams, right? Or the compression. A 4.3 V8 has a 3-inch stroke. I would make a 302 into a 5.7. Yeah, that's what I want to do on the LT motor. Is I want to put the 4.3 crank and rods and then put the 5.7 pistons on that and then make a 5-liter version just to show you how much power it loses compared to the 5.7. There's a few people that have put Eaton blowers on them. On what, the 4.3 or one of the other 9 motors that we're talking about? If they're making 600 horsepower, it's probably bigger than an M90. Maybe 112s or something. I mean, we can make more than 600 at the flywheel with it because we've done that, but you really have to spin them. Single turbo conversions are cheap. A good 5.7 will go for around 4,000 with 10,000 miles or so. Crate LS starts at 8,400 for 5.7 long blocks with no intake track. So, Julius, do I need to send over a shipping container full of like 5.3s? I'd like to see what a built twin turbo 4.3 would do. The thing that I'm worried about on the 4.3, ultimately, if we put rods and pistons in it, is the crankshaft. How much it can handle with a cryo crank. I don't know how much that's going to help. Send us some barrows in return. When you use only 4 liters for the M90 is a good match. It is, and again, it doesn't matter about displacement. It just matters about what the power output is. Yeah, I don't think anybody buys those Cat tractor diesel motors for fuel mileage. Why do I have a feeling somebody's made a billet 4.3 crank? I'm sure they have. I mean, I know when they used to race them as Grand National motors, that in the Grand National series, they definitely had steel cranks for those. Have you ever worked on a box or a flat engine? Yeah, Volkswagen stuff, chassis dyno on Subaru stuff, but nothing, I don't think anything on the engine dyno though. Cryo stuff, they say 15 to 20% stronger? Yeah, there's no mileage on it. Yes, on the 4.3 test, everybody's cruising by like, just like they're completely ignoring me, like I'm not even important or anything. I bet the 3800 V6 turbo can push 1,000 horsepower. That'd be a big number for a stock bottom end. When does it bring it yourself V10 dyno? I don't know yet. Not sure. That'll be cool though. See how much boost a Harbor Freight engine can take. I don't know how we would configure that on the dyno. I guess with an adapter plate maybe. The one I want to test is the 1 liter Sprint motor. The heads on the 4.3 don't flow well. No, they don't. They really do need to be ported. And I think Freiberger talked Brule into porting his way back, and his made pretty good power. I need to. Maybe Eric would port them. Does a flat engine design make the block much weaker than a V engine? I don't know. I'd have to look at the specifics of the 2 engines that you were talking about. They've run lots of, Ferrari specifically ran lots of flat race motors. People don't seem to think that the Subaru stuff is, you know, as strong as a inline 4-cylinder like an Evo motor, but I don't know enough about either one of those. They don't know if there's a celebrity sitting on the side of the road. Well, I hope I don't run into them then. Yo, V6. I'm curious about the blueprint engine. That's not a real engine, Frank. That's a mock-up. Is the LS bore spacing the same as the 4.3 liter? They all are. The small block Chevy and the LS have the same bore spacing. Dale, you need to do a Google search for my name, and you could see some of the Honda stuff I did. I've written a number of Honda books, set land speed records in a Honda and all that stuff. I still love them. I would love to have a Honda right now. My son has one. I gave away my last one to Chad. It was a Civic VX, but I would love to have a little hatch like that. I need one of those M90s for my wife's Grand Caravan. There's lots of them available at the wrecking yards. Yeah, Dale, the Civic went 227. It was fast. I did a lot of other Bonneville things with other cars. I did one for with my buddy Tom. We did one for the guys from Suzuki. We did a factory one, a VW one, all kinds of stuff. Are the LS main bolts torque to yield? I know that they're angle torque, but I don't know if they're a torque to yield. I don't know what you mean by thoughts. Yeah, I've done, and I also road raced a Honda. My Del Sol won the U.S. Touring Car Championship in it. I ran it in Motorola Cup. I've done lots of Honda stuff. Wrote a K-Series book. The vertical main bolts can be reused. I reuse all of those. I'll email you tonight about what I know and saw of the Aussie V12. Julius, because I could tell you where the guys from Australia who are taking credit for the V12 LS, I could tell you where they got that idea and who they spoke to here. Because the guy that they got it from did it for 2 or 3 years before that. I just look at the coffers. I can do the deal 3rd Wednesday. I hope that's okay. I'll be set on that day. Wednesday the 3rd. Todd, no, I'm down at West Tech. No, my wife would never kick me out. We are madly in love. If I buy your book off of Amazon, do I get the money? Which one are you buying? I think I have some at my house, but yeah, if you have, yeah, I get paid a very small percentage of what they sell for. What's your prediction on 3800 Big Bang? I don't know. I don't know where whatever is going to let go is going to let go at. It was really easy to make 600. So I think the danger zone's probably going to be somewhere between 800 and 1,000. She's tired of the cams on the kitchen table. Dale, I think I have K-Series books. So if you want one from me, wait till I get home, and that way I can autograph it for you if you want an autograph. Not that that adds value to it, but... And then that way, all of it would be going to me. You change the throwout bearing 4 times on the 4.3? That seems excessive. Paul, so you think it'll do 1,000 horsepower? I don't know. Yeah, there's a lot of that stuff. For big bang videos, it's just, let's see, it's just a one-time run and the engine would run safely on maybe 80% of the power. The big bang runs are, we run, we step up in power. We just turn the boost up and continue going up in boost until something happens. Obviously we have an optimized tune. When we're doing the big bang motors anymore, I use ice water, we use good fuel, all that. So I run it at, we'll start at, 5 pounds or 10 pounds. And then usually I go up in 1 or 2 pound increments. So we'll make a pull, then make another pull, and then make another pull, and just raise the boost up, make sure everything's okay as we go up, see if we need to do any adjustment on the air, fuel, and timing. We're pulling timing as we go up and boost. And so eventually we get to some point where something happens. Have you ever had engines throw rods and damage the dyno? Not damage the dyno. And the big bang motors are just finding out where the top limit is. Plastic throwout bearings just melted. Okay. I got some cams. Talk of them going to a V6 quad turbo hypercar developed in Saudi Arabia, but I don't know anyone can actually receive. Yeah. What's his name? Morris did one of those, right? He did 2 of them together. I did see the Steve Morris thing. I'm glad that, that nobody got hurt and that the stuff was okay. That's you got to watch for stuff, man. As a caregiver, the pay is good. Who's got more questions? Who needs more cams? God, I need to get rid of this stuff in my storage. But this top limit appears while running it only one time. Yeah, it's only one time. If you run the same engine many times at 90%, the power will not let go. Yeah, I don't know about not let go. What I use as a guide is that if we go up to one spot where it broke, it will live below that. But however close you are to that top spot, like you get one run at this power level, right below that, maybe you get 5 or 10. And then is it 100 and 1,000? It goes down in some kind of sliding scale. Nobody knows exactly what that is. Nobody can tell you that unless somebody has tested it at all of those things and made it break at all those levels, and they can document that. Otherwise, there's no way to know that. I can tell you that when we ran the big bang motors, the LS motors, we ran 70, 80 runs, probably over 1,000 horsepower. And so it will make lots of runs there. And it might only make one at 1,500. Yeah, Butcher, the 112s are hard to find, and the 122s are also hard to find. They're big money. That looks like you're in an extended cab. It is. There's rear seats, and then it has the the front opening doors. Not ideal, and I don't like that it's a 4-wheel drive, but it's what I could get when they stole my Civic. I say put ARP bolts on the rods and send the 3800 to the moon with boost. The rod bolts are not going to help with strength for the turbo application. That's more of an RPM. That's more of a snatch load RPM kind of thing. Boost isn't going to change the need for bolts. And given the fact that we've run the stock rod bolts at 1,500 horsepower on all the LS motors, I don't think rod bolts are going to come into play here. If I was trying to run that 4.3 to 8,000 RPM, I might think about rod bolts. But the whole premise of this is that all the stuff on the bottom end is stock. Richard, those LS heads, I'll buy them. I assume you still have them. Just let me know. Which LS heads are you talking about? The only LS heads I have are 799s. Did the Race 4.3 have common crank pin instead of the offset pins on the stock? I don't know. I need to look that up and see what the Grand National guys are running. I would assume that they did, but yeah, Jewish. I got the story from the. In fact, I'm working with the guy, the guy. So, and he's a great guy, real, very talented. And it's amazing how some of that stuff has gone together. The camshafts are just welded together. A big bang for a big block Chevy and big block Ford with aftermarket rods and pistons would be amazing. That's not what a big bang motor is, though. It's not an aftermarket build. It's a stock build. Stock block, stock crank, stock rods, stock pistons, original rings, all of that stuff is stock. And then we just put ring gap in it and then see what the stock stuff will do. I'm not that interested in what builds will do. Are they long billet cams or chilled cast iron? No, they're factory cams that are cut and welded together. Big Bang and an Iron Duke. I would be interested in putting a turbo on an Iron Duke. I think that would be fun. I can't do a poll, Sean. And the 280ZX turbo wheels? I don't know what you're talking about with those. I've never had any 280ZX turbo wheels. Are you talking to a different person? The cranks failed on the offset pin. Seen a few that would go that way. That's what I'm worried about. I mean, we may not push it that far, but I don't know what you mean by thoughts, Edward. Got a couple more minutes and I got to get back to the shop and get back to work. Can't just sit here and goof off with everybody all the time, you know? Although we have 66 people and 65 thumbs up. That's awesome. How does exotic big dollar small block Ford stuff make so much more power? I watch a few specialty small block Ford builders and I can't understand how they can make the power they claim. Just curious. Well, if you put, I mean, a motor, it doesn't matter whether it's a small block Ford or big block or whatever. You can make very high horsepower if you put really good heads on it, like with altered valve angles and stuff, and then you get it to rev. So you put lots of spring rate in it and do lots of sciencing on the camshaft and have a shaft rocker set up and a dry sump and really high compression and really big camshafts. Richard, looks like you got sun. It's probably just the reflection of stuff. The Roadkill guys had bad luck with their 4.3. 4.3 is a good Jeep engine. Yeah, that would be good. I tend to buy a car next year with a 4.3 liter. It's got a little bit too much compression for me because I want to add boost. All of the stock 4.3 stuff will take boost. So now I need to figure out whether or not I want to take this 4.3 apart if I get it and add ring gap. The 4.3 we're talking about is the Vortec 4.3. I still want to compare balance shaft versus delete. Yeah, how involved is that? If I can just take it out, I'll do that. But if I've got to machine a bunch of stuff, I'm not going to do that. I don't think people should take the balance shaft out anyway. Do I have to plug a bunch of stuff and... you think the NV4000 inline 6 is going to be the next engine to build? I don't even know what that is. Is that the new Dodge thing or something? The one on the Typhoon and Cyclone, this is later than that. This is a Vortec version, so it's just a later generation of that motor. 4.3 versus the 3800 would be nice. Well, inadvertently, we're going to have that. I think there's an oil passage or something you have to plug. Yeah, I'll have to take a look at that. I hope the testing hopes the 4.3 liter aftermarket develop. I don't really see that happening. This probably was a Spider injected 4.3, Dan. It doesn't have an intake manifold or even valve covers on it. Are the Vortec heads on the 4.3 similar to the 5.7s? I think that they are. I think you could pull the balance shaft bearings and install them with the oil holes offset. I don't have a let's see, this is for the NV4000 is the inline 6. Are you talking about the 4200 inline 6 cylinder? Yeah, the Atlas motor is not going to become the new LS motor. Do a build with a big block Chevy with an LS sensor and wire harness and computer conversion. I have done that on the 8.1 already. Yeah, the 4.2 liter is not going to become the LS. I don't know for sure if it's a chain drive. You might be able to leave the balance shaft in, but not turning. That would be interesting. Arca is making stuff for the 4200. I mean, I like to see all the motors, all the families embraced, but it's the length and the height of that 4200 or just don't lend itself to fitting into a lot of stuff. That's part of the problem. I mean, it's a good motor. It's a 4-valve motor and it makes good power. And Calvin has shown you can, if you, and lots of other people have shown with other combinations, if you put your mind to it and address the issues, you can make lots of power. Yeah, overbuilt, I saw that. I don't have a 460 intake manifold. There are no 460 intake manifolds. I'm seriously considering a 4200 for my Le Mans convertible. It would be good. It would be cool and it looks good. It's just as long as it fits. The Pontiac overhead cam sprint motor would be good. I saw the 8.1 in the Stingray. One more minute. Dan, I think that it is gear driven. I don't think it's chain driven. In the Big Bang videos, what's the part that gives up first? It's usually a rod or a piston. At least it was on the LS motors, and I think it was on the. Well, it's one of those two on all the motors. Dan, the later 4.3s added a balance shaft on the Vortec motors. Like to see a twin turbo 460. Mohammed, happy to help, man. The Transverse 2.9 in a Geo Metro. I mean, if I was going to do a different 4-cylinder in there, I think I would do a K series and a 6-speed. But I got something planned for a Metro. Did they make a 4-cylinder industrial version of the 4.1 liter? I don't know. I've never heard of that. And on that note, it is time to go. I got to get back to work and get some dyno testing done because there's some fun stuff. The other thing I wanted to mention, obviously I have cams for sale, so if somebody is interested in cams, please let me know, send me an email. And also, while I'm down here, I gathered together information on a lobe separation angle test. So do tight LSAs really work? We're going to find out. And on that note, I will see you all tomorrow.